Okay, so this is where our friendly cytokine known as histamine comes into play. Oxalate's trafficking can be affected by histamine. But
I see.
think there's some indication that oxalate can affect how histamine functions too. And histamine is actually something our body uses productively. So histamine's not a bad guy. Like people start to think of histamine as just this universal bad guy. It's not. You release histamine every time you eat something because it's part of the digestion process. But when it comes to sleep, you actually have a histamine cycle in the brain. I use this way of describing it every time. About 3 or 4 in the morning, at the time when your body produces a higher level of cortisol to wake you up, your brain starts to produce histamine to wake you up. Then your histamine level in the brain has to stay up during the day for you to stay awake. Then it should drop down at night for you to sleep, and then it should stay down. So that's the appropriate sort of histamine cycle in the brain. But if your histamine in the brain's doing this, you're not going to be sleeping properly. And any up and down gets registered. If it's going up, you're supposed to wake up. If it's dropping back, you're supposed to go to sleep. So you'll find people who eat a meal and then for a while they're okay, and then they just want to fall asleep, right?
Right.
That's not just a blood sugar phenomenon. That can be a histamine phenomenon. And I think that's another one of those ones that's not well recognized outside perhaps the field of study where they're looking at mast cell activation and histamine intolerance disorders. And we're still learning a lot there too. So again, I can't claim any particular in-depth knowledge here, except that this cycle of what we're doing with histamine in the brain is really important. And if we can support a healthy cycle there, that can make all the difference in how well you sleep. And what I've noticed is, I used to take melatonin and have no particular benefit from it. And I think it was because for me, the issue is really histamine. And somewhere around the time when I was playing around with some of these things, I discovered that what used to be called Benadryl was also called ZQuil.
Okay.
And it's because they had come across the fact very early with Benadryl that it made people drowsy. And so if your sleep problem's really a histamine problem and you need histamine in the brain to drop, one of the issues with Benadryl is it penetrates the blood-brain barrier. And so they marketed it as a sleep remedy.